the two things that are always going to be around, so there's a third thing that just came into it, but the two things are real estate, right, and automotive. You're gonna, in those worlds, the people at the top will be making a lot of money if you want to be good, because everybody needs a car, everybody needs a place to live. And so commercial, I wouldn't go that direction in commercial real estate. But if you look and say anything associated to automotive, anything associated to homes. So if you look at the mortgage guys, you look at your bank reps, you look at all the people that have to touch a deal, that's where the opportunity is going to be, because just because the economy will push back or COVID's going to send us a certain way, right? The transactions are still going to happen. And I tell them all the time, I want you to take one thing out of here that's going to help you to sell one more thing today, but just one thing. Don't try to grab all of it, right? And they'll be like, okay. And then they try to grab all of it. So then they end up learning even more. But they're going to fight me because I told them not to. But
isn't it weird how people have become resistant to learn? My theory, let me introduce you, by the way. Everybody, this is Joe Ingram, AKA the sales genius.
Sorry. We just get to talking the second we see each other.
And this is why we should just record
how bad it is when we go eat lunch.
Literally every time we have a conversation, it's a show.
Yeah.
PG-13.
Right.
But guys, I met Joe, man, I want to say over a year ago now. Yeah. Probably well over a year ago now. Cool dude, knows his stuff, has been mentoring and helping spread love in the sales / business community for a long time. But one of the questions I'm getting asked a lot, I'm going to throw this at you, maybe other people are thinking about it, is are there industries that are typically good paying sales jobs that may not be around for very long? And if so, what do you think they are?
So
have you put thought into that, bro?
I have, and it's I see it a lot that's going out there. Like for me, I think other than touch and feel for the cell phone industry, I don't see how we're going to need cell phone salespeople in the future. Right? I mean, right now I look and I'm like, they come in, the people all they want to do is pick it up, touch it, and then they can go back and buy it online.
And by the way, it's also one of those industries where you can start to tell from the mannerisms of the sales agents. They're very transactional.
Yep. I don't care about your second phone purchase. I care about, I need to sell you right now. Right. But it could end up being all cell phones are kept at Costco, right?
Even new lines of service. They're like, boom, boom, boom. And I get it. And it's because, naturally the commission per pop is not that great.
No. Especially out here in, the People's Republic of California, where they changed the compensation plan. So it's no longer, right? You have to compensate the largest way possible, so that all of a sudden the bonuses got much smaller.
And when your unemployment check is bigger than the commission.
Yeah.
Right. So. But no, seriously, like this is the thing. Like, should people in that industry start, and will they make great sales agents in other industries? What do you think?
I think that the answer is this: is that if you're good in sales in one industry, I think you can plug and play into another industry. Again, but I believe it's internal more than it is anything else. Can you take the information you've been given, internalize it? Because if you understand the conceptual actions you're taking, it becomes much easier to modify it to the next product that comes up. Like me, automotive, but before automotive, I was in criminal defense. Okay, so selling criminal defense.
You've been defending yourself for like 20 years now.
Right, of course. And check my record, clean. Yeah. So, but when you look at that and say, okay, in criminal defense, there'd be no reason to go to a car into the automotive space, except that lawyers are looked at lower on the rung of social acceptance than the car people. So it was like I climbed up, in the family gatherings. But looking at it and saying, are you providing more value than what you're asking? Are you actually being somebody that somebody would want to buy from? And I think those that are really good are not attached to their own ego with a prospect. And I think that's going to be the transition point nowadays for everybody that's going to be successful in sales. You and I can sit down and give you every single thought concept, everything that has to be done and put together. But if I walk in saying, I know everything and that's just who I am and you're a dumb prospect, then I'm not going to get the deal. I'm not going to get to that point of rapport, because right now everybody, well, for one, we all have to wear masks. But, you know, when it comes to rapport, it's getting harder and harder, especially when you go digitally, to build any kind of rapport with a person. And I'm not even a huge rapport builder person. That's not even, I don't look and go, I have to get you to like me to buy from me. I look at it more of saying, I want to find out what you need, where you want to go, and I'm going to give you what works. And if it's not me, I'm okay with tapping out and sending you to somebody else.
You brought up the automotive industry. Let me ask you something. I was at a local restaurant here a couple of weeks ago, and the GM of a very well-known dealership gets introduced to me and asked me what I thought of his salespeople. And I said, they're fucking horrible.
Yeah.
And he just laughed and he's like, what do you mean? I'm like, dude, listen, we live in one of the wealthiest areas in the country. They're spoiled, they're aged, they're just very like, I was like, I literally sat in one of the guys' offices twice for like an hour each time. And he did not ask one question about me or my life at all.
No.
At all.
No.
And then he continued to tell me that he had a reputation for doing volume and not making a lot of money on deals. Now, while I'm in the office, you know what dealership I'm talking about.
I do.
While I'm in the office, a guy that walked me around the parking lot and asked me if I wanted any coffee, took me on a tour. He sticks his head in the office while the other guy's out doing something and says, hey, remember me? And looks at me as the customer and goes, you know I deserve half of that deal, right? And I was like, are you serious, bro? I'm like, listen, man, I'm like, I'm a sales trainer, bro. First of all, I go, you were really cool. I enjoyed walking around and chatting with you. I go, but you do not walk, I literally told him, I go, you do not walk in the office when the other sales guys stick your head in the door and tell the customer that you deserve half of that sale. Like, where are these people? Who is training these people, dude? And is the automotive business, should it still have the reputation that it does? You just have to go out there and save them, or what's the deal?
No, I'm going to tell you that my clients do not have that issue, but other dealerships that aren't my clients, yes, they do. But no, I'm telling you, it's because we're in a people business, you end up getting people that are so focused on themselves that, again, it was complete greed that guy said, hey, I spent 8 minutes with you walking you around. I should deserve part of a deal. Yeah. And it's like, no, I have people that
by the way, this guy was like 45, 46 years old.
Yeah. Yeah. It's sad. But again, at the dealership you're at, it's going to be a lot of the old timers.
A very prestigious,
yes,
brand.
Yeah.
And I'm just wondering, like, when they hire people, do they just like put them on the floor? Like, is there a cultural training? Like, what do they do? And this goes for any industry.
Right.
I was just on a call.
But again, I push really hard for new hire orientation done right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And it's like, I mean, the fact that he was an older guy and he was newer to the store, maybe all he learned was walking around the lot and coming up. But yet he also understood that I need to get paid half of the commission
of whatever deal you're doing. He told me he came from another dealership. Anyway, let's move on. I'm just saying, like, that
like
industry,
recently, Hertz just announced they're shutting down all of their retail lots.
Right, and they had a great training program.
Yeah, and so that's going to be.
A lot of people bragged about their training program.
Yeah, and they invest in their people, but they're not selling. So
quarantine thing is one thing. Like, it was, a forced recession.
Right.
It was, in my opinion, I think in yours too, it was by a large degree intentional.
Absolutely.
At some point it was intentional.
Yep.
Sad, but maybe it's just something that, it's another chapter in the history of the world, I guess. But during that time, a lot of good people, good companies got taken down. If you had to tell people right now who either want to be in sales or need to pivot what industries to be in, what would you tell them? Let's say they want to make upwards of $10,000 a month.
So in upwards of 10, the two things that are always going to be around, so there's a third thing that just came into it, but the two things are real estate right, and automotive. You're gonna, in those worlds, the people at the top will be making a lot of money if you want to be good, because everybody needs a car, everybody needs a place to live. And so commercial, I wouldn't go that direction in commercial real estate. But if you look and say anything associated to automotive, anything associated to homes. So if you look at the mortgage guys, you look at your bank reps, you look at all the people that have to touch a deal, that's where the opportunity is going to be, because just because the economy will push back or COVID's going to send us a certain way, right? The transactions are still going to happen. And
let me ask you something.
The competition gets
and
thinner.
This is something that I challenge all the time, because I'm like, look, there are just some things where people prefer to speak to people, right? However, you and I also went through a phase where people never did mortgages over the phone.
Right.
It was always in the bank, and they didn't just sign e-documents either that weren't really their signature. So, and you're already seeing a lot of companies, Rocket Mortgage, a lot of companies doing 90% of the transaction online and just assigning it to someone. Right. Because still legally you have to have a loan officer or, a broker, do the deal. And you do see a few apps popping up in the car business doing that too.
Oh, absolutely. I have a lot of my clients are doing the whole thing on there. It's a delivery at the end. It's the only time you're ever going to see somebody from the dealership. Yeah. Right. And so
when you and I are encouraging people to get into sales, but yet, we see some of these things trickling in, what do you say? What's your advice?
Well, my answer is going to be this. The number of people required will be less as we go virtual. It doesn't make it go away. And so there's forever, in 2000, internet came out and we all said, oh my gosh, no one's ever going to come into the dealership again. Right? We're facing 2021 right now, and we're still sitting there going, how do we get the guy to fill out everything before he gets here and what have you? So you stop and go, wow, we're not moving at the clip we thought we would move with technology.
Now you guys have internet departments.
Oh yeah, there's a whole department that's still, the only answer is come in. Right? But it's like, come on, let's work with the person. Let's get it done. Deliver a car.
You're doing your job, man. Because I went to a lot of dealerships that just literally, they just pass the phone around and say the same thing.
Yeah.
We gotta get you out there somehow, man. Maybe
I was gonna say, I'll give you my scripts.
Here's what we'll do. I'll go in as the customer.
Right.
And I'll write a letter to the GM and I'll be like, your cars are great, your people are horrible. And then the next day you coincidentally show up.
Right. I walk in the door and go, you know what? I'm here because I know you got great cars, but your people may need help.
That's why they'll
be like, I just heard that.
And you thought you were a genius.
Yes, exactly. It's true. Well, again, every business is people, process, and product. In the automotive space, product is predetermined. We all sell the same products, right? And so when you look at it, that goes away. So it's what is their process and what is their people? And again, most people don't stop and hire somebody. Like I just had one of my clients that's in Minnesota. Okay. Little different than California as far as pace and volume and everything else. But he says, what do you do when you're hiring somebody? Because he has two people that worked for me in Minnesota.
What does he mean
over there now?
When you hire? What does he mean by that?
He said he wanted to know how I got good people. He's like, I have two of your previous employees. That's why I know about you. He said, but how do you get people like this? And I said, I hire for Smile.
You told me you use that shock treatment thing.
Right. Well, that the injections have been working much easier now.
Right. Yes. You give them the vaccine.
Right. Special ones. They it cures everything.
Well, what is the secret? I mean,
I tell everybody I hire for Smile and teach the rest. Right? So I sit down and I say, are you somebody that presents themselves as likable? And all my interviews are a minimum of 40 minutes. Okay.
And you're trying to give time to see their personality or what?
Well, I'll tell you, everybody's got 20 minutes of BS in them.
I call everybody professional interviewers.
Yeah, they sit down, but after I will ask you the first question at minute 25, I'll ask you that same first question and get a different answer because you ran out of stuff to say that you were prepared to say.
Do you do like the Chinese thing where you make them have two drinks?
Right.
And then
Yes.
you start interrogating.
Yes. But I tell them one of them was poisoned.
Or you
so then they have to tell me quickly. Yes.
There you go.
But I'm telling you, but all I do is I look for somebody who's halfway intelligent that has people skills. I can teach upon that. If you come into me, you can't make eye contact, right? You're sitting with your head down and your answer is, I want to be a salesperson. And I'm like, you're not giving me anything that says you're going to be a salesperson. I'm going to go put you in the business office.
Let's attack an even more hard topic. Leadership egos. The people who run the place. Mm-hmm. I find, again, I would love to pick on your industry, that they are some of the worst.
Absolutely.
When it comes to egos. How does a consultant, anybody who's out there listening, or people who are running the show, maybe they need to hear this too from a different perspective. People who are the GMs, people who are the directors, people who are the owners. How do you get someone at that level, you personally, to get somebody at that level to accept or to be open to, coaching or criticism or whatever?
I hit them one of two ways. And after I've started talking with you and go through to see how on top of your skin is your ego, right? So my credentials trump a lot of people in the industry. Mm-hmm. And so if I was going to sit down and compare what I've done, then the person I'm sitting in front of isn't going to win.
But for the general consultant, how are they going to break through that?
The general consultant, the best thing I'll tell you I do is I walk in and I explain to them, I say, listen, everybody in this building, right, has heard from you for however long they've been here. And I said, and they become what's called parent deaf, right? You can't hear your mother's advice because your mother is always in your ear. You can't hear your dad's advice because he's always in your ear, and you block it out and you filter them. Your friend's mom could always tell you something that your mom said, and then all of a sudden you come home and go, oh my gosh, do you know I shouldn't be doing this? And your mom looks at you ready to slap you to say, I've been telling you that for a long time.
I do that. I tell them the tire shoes analogy. Your mom says tire shoes, tire shoes, tire shoes. You keep running around. Then a stranger walks up and says, hey, you should tie your shoes. You're going to fall. And you do.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So I get it. That is a good approach.
And when I'm sitting with an ego, I say, what if I were to take your message, what you've been trying to get them to all adhere, and I became that second voice, and I use it right back to them. I go, just like when a customer says no to somebody else out here, you say, go get a second face to go jump in front of them and see if you can make a deal. Yeah. My answer is, what if I got in front of your team and expressed your message in a way they understood better?
So you sort of champion their ego.
I have to, because again, I either will sit back and help your ego get bigger because that's important to you, right? Or I will hit you with mine to say, okay, so how many cars do you do a month? Because I've ran 3 stores that have gone to 1,000 cars a month, right? And you look and go, okay, well, if I can take several brands to number 1 or number 2 in the nation, and you're sitting back trying to be number 1 in a district, then there is something I know that you don't. And there is something.
Will you say that?
I will. So I'm either going to fluff up, if they're really superficial on the ego, then I go that route of saying, let me teach them what you wanted to hear there, right? So, but it needs to be me. It needs to be me separate from you. You can't walk in the middle of it because that's going to get them paying attention to you instead of me. And we really ultimately want you to look really good for the factory. We really want you to look good for your paycheck, right? Yes, that's right. And nobody has to know about me.
Biggest mistake or the biggest area of error or setbacks that you see in the automotive business?
Well, I'll tell you right now is that, again, you nailed it, where everything is too transactional. There isn't a long-term focus. Okay, you've had 2 cars since I've known you in a year, right? So why wasn't anybody taking care of you to say, I want your next car when you decide to get out of it?
0.
Why isn't, not looking at the 3 other cars that you're going to be getting in the next 5 years?
I think they're spoiled and undertrained.
Oh, I agree. It's all low hanging fruit. And nobody knows how to dig. Nobody knows how to get it.
We're in an economy where literally people go to the car dealerships for fun.
Yeah.
I mean, in our bubble here.
Right.
You know, and I just think that they're spoiled. I think that, look, we're gonna get walk-ins no matter what. You know, and people want to be popular and they want to drive these cars. It's just about qualifying them and signing them. And then nobody's followed. I mean, you get those automated emails.
Right.
How was your service? I didn't even fill it out.
Right. It's all just done by a computer.
I've had more than one sales agent walk up to me and say, "You're going to get an email. Please make sure to give me a perfect score."
Yep.
I'm over it. I go, "Yeah, no problem. And I walk away. I'm like, I'm not filling shit out, bro.
Right. Well, no one earned it.
Are you that worried? And I'm talking veterans telling me that. I'm talking about people like, you know, they're up there, like they're in your age group.
Right, exactly. In the sexy age group.
Right?
Yes. Where the gray works. Yeah, not the younger ones.
100 years. And so I got guys with that level of stride. I had a guy that's at a dealership for 20 years come up and say, "Please score me perfectly."
Yeah.
And very cool dude too, by the way, like really, really cool guy. But why do they have to say that? What are they afraid? What happens at the corporate level if I put a 7 down instead of a 10?
Well, no bonus for them, right? The dealership gets hurt. Like, for example, I worked at a dealership, Highline one, where the manufacturer expects 97.1% perfect for the entire transactional, for sales and service, everything. So out here in America, we're not taught to give somebody 10 out of 10 if they did their job.
I think the service departments are way more ahead of the game than the sales departments.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know if it's because, you know, that relationship is part of their blood, you know, it's their bread, it's their business, it's their money.
Oh, well, I'll tell you why, right? The average consumer buys a car every 3.5 years. So that's me. I get to see you in 3.5 years if I'm still here and you choose to come back to the same brand and store. Mm-hmm. The service department gets you every 6 months. It used to be every 3 months. And in some manufacturers, it's once a year, right? I just want to make sure I get you for the warranty work so that I can actually pay my technicians and get it done. And I want to take care of you because I need you to come back in here because I have more touch points than they do in sales. And sales is hit it, quit it, and I'm done.
When I say to sales teams, guys, take one Friday every month, go back to your sales from 6 months ago or 3 months ago, and just call them, you know, for that week.
Yeah.
So you're only calling a week's worth of customers because you do it every week.
Yeah.
Or twice a month. And just call them a text and be like, "Hey, hope you're doing well. Hope you're still in love with the car," or whatever it was, checking on you, you know, and don't ask for anything.
Right.
Let me know if you need anything. Let me know if you'd like to come down to the dealership. Let me know. Stop. Just check on me.
Yeah. But
don't
again,
end it with, you know, are you in the market? Do you want to trade in? We just got some new things and I know you'd be interested. And you know who else does it? Is retail people.
Yeah.
What is going on that people have, look, you and I are going to make money on the ignorance. Okay.
Of course.
And we enjoy inspiring and training people. It's fun to help people grow and to accomplish things. It's super fun.
Yep.
But it's also alarming to me how many people lack the self-awareness, the acknowledgement that I don't know, you know, like that friend that only calls when they need something. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Like every time you talk to me, you have to try to pitch me on something. Can't you just go, "Hope you and the wifey are doing great. I hope I see you sometime. Just wanted to check in." Can you just do that?
Right. And it's your broke friend that every time they text is because they want $100, right? Yeah. And they do it.
Were we like that in the beginning?
But the mindset is for these guys is, well, it doesn't hurt to ask. And I'm going to say, yes, it does. It hurts to ask because you continuously ask and ask and ask with no hint of going forward. And you think you're going to catch me out of nowhere where I go, "You know what? I was just thinking I wanted to do that." and you just happen to text again, right? It's not going to happen.
You know how I always talk about like the old rules of selling, the outdated rules. Like I heard Brad say this a couple days ago. It's a numbers game. He even said that when I was recording with him. It's still a numbers game. I'm like, I get it. So. I get it. You have to talk to people. You have to be out there. You have to call. I go, but if you create that as a rule, like, you know, I'm only 7 no's away from a yes, then you are training the mind to treat people like numbers.
Yeah.
You're training the mind that no is normal. So just move on.
Right.
See what I'm saying?
In my opening of my podcast, I say sales is only a numbers game until you become educated.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Right. And I'm like, because it is a numbers game because you don't have a skill set. Yes. Go for it.
Sales is, but I'll put your first initial.
Right. There you go.
I'll put your first name down.
I wonder what else it matches. Yes. But when you look at that, it's only a numbers game until you become educated, because I have to just keep going with numbers until I learn something. Mm-hmm. Once you learn how to be the person that the other person needs to buy from, mm-hmm. it's no longer a numbers game, right? It's an actual communication game. It's about, can I communicate with you in a way that you can understand me and you feel comfortable in purchasing? And if it's not right now, I still want to be that person a year from now.
Yeah.
I want you saying, you know what, you didn't have what I wanted to buy then, but now I'm at this place in my life and this is what I'm looking for. Or my daughter, my niece, right? My neighbor is looking for something. I want to give them the person that I would trust to do something with. But again,
you know, I tell my people, I know we match up on a lot of the stuff, that if you're speaking to a qualified customer and you've had a full-blown conversation with them, they should not be saying no to anything. If there is a decision to be made, it's you and them deciding together,
right,
whether they should do something or not.
Absolutely.
But if they're saying no to you, then you're very sales. It's just you're not doing it right.
Right. Well, again, you've lost the connection for one, and you probably missed all of the things that they were saying because you were too busy talking.
Possibly. I mean, those are kind of or coachy, cliche, descriptions. But I think in short, another thing that we'll throw out there, people have something to chew on while you're throwing out some gold too, is I say stop writing a sales process. Write a decision-making process, and write it in the person of the customer.
Absolutely.
And make that the sort of the core of your conversation. Kind of like you're completing, I say become the customer, like become the one, become the customer. And then do all the other stuff too. Have fun and get to know them and yada, yada, yada. I just could not believe, man, like maybe we'll chop this up, for the small audience that I have right now, but I'll work on that. I'm getting back on it. It's a combination of procrastination and manifestation. This year on some of these projects.
You got to have time to recharge, man. You went hard for a long time with no break.
Yeah, 15 years, man. It's
good to take a break.
Yeah, it's good, and we won't get off topic, but I realized that I was getting away from variety in my life. Things that I used to love doing: golfing, hanging out, playing ball, whatever, going to the beach, and everything became about either business, gym, or social events. Yeah, that was in its. But anyway. But what I wanted to get at is if people are not in sales, would you encourage them to go into automotive sales as a first job?
As a first job, I think you'll learn everything you could possibly know in trial by fire. And then again, you're going to find a lot.
Set them on fire?
Yes, absolutely. That's part of the process. Right?
You're lethal, man. Ruthless.
Yes. But no, you're going to get a lot of people that come at you angry because they already read about stuff online, right? If your desire is to be in sales, a lot of people leave automotive and become fantastic in other sales arena because it's not as controversial or not as combative of a sale.
Yeah.
when you get out there. Right?
I've personally seen that. But let's just say you've got, you know, Tom over there. He's got a little bit of money in the bank. He's got about maybe 3 months of reserves, and his industry's not doing too well. And he's like, I don't know, you know, I don't have any other skills, but I enjoy talking and working with people. Would you tell somebody like that with 2 kids at home, go jump in sales in the automotive business?
I would tell them the time commitment that it's going to take is going to take away from their family.
So you would say real talk?
I mean, I would sit down and say, you have to be prepared.
Is the trade-off worth it?
I would, from where I stand, I'd say yes.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean,
from where my family, yes.
Yeah.
Right.
Like my father worked 3rd shift for 6 years. Like he did whatever he had to do, you know, to.
Right. If you look, I have myself, my wife, my son, right, my daughter are all in the business. Mm-hmm. And so as an actual economy, we are automotive. Huh?
You guys are like politicians.
Yeah, well, exactly. Once you get one in, we
business.
Can't get out, bro. Look, I left being in one to go coach them.
You guys could probably take down like half the industry in our state if you wanted to.
It is a fun game. But again, there's a passion, right? If you don't love cars, don't. I just trained a kid the other day that was like, what's the difference between 2-wheel drive, 4-wheel drive, front-wheel drive? I don't know what that is. And I'm like, that's a big thing. I mean, come on, man. It'd be like me going, I'm going to go learn, right, Lebanese cooking, right? I'm going to ask your mother. But I'm not going to do this, man. I don't have the mindset or the knowledge.
Look, bro, go YouTube that. I'm going to teach you much more important stuff.
Yeah. And so, but I was like, that's so difficult to say, go out and sell something if you don't even have a desire for the product itself.
Sure. So maybe we'll finish on that. If you're not in sales and you're concerned that maybe you won't do well, but you have friends that do it, you're not sure if it's for you, but you do have those moments where you really click with people and you're like, dude, maybe I would be good at this. Would you tell them to, you know, seek out an emerging industry that's something that they're interested in?
Absolutely.
Or would you tell them seek out one that's making money and make the fucking adjustment?
No, I would tell them go with where the drive and desire is, because we've all done a job we hated just to make money, right? And when we look back at it, we always look back and go, man, I sacrificed so much for that. So much of me was gone because I was trying to make that money, and it didn't add up to that point.
Maybe it depends where they're at in life. Like if they've got a little cushion, but if not, like me, I didn't love the finance industry. Thought it was cool. Why did I think it was cool?
Money. Because
the money was coming in. You know, but I needed that. You know, I was living out of my car and I'm like, I need money. And then we made tons of money. You know, so I maybe it just depends. But I don't want people to think that, you know, and now there's one more thing I want to ask you. I'm going to slip it in here real quick. Is I think we should change the name sales.
Okay.
What would you call it?
If we're going to change, if I said, let's get rid of the word sales, and so I'm no longer a salesman, what am I, right? Then, I mean, if I had to sit back and say, because this is going to throw me off too. I mean, I would go with product specialist is where I see myself in the fact that I'm a product specialist. I know everything there is to know about it, and I can guide you through the process. I call that a human
brochure.
Oh, yeah, I wouldn't.
You got all the information. That's not a communication thing.
No.
See,
but again, if I go to communication, my first answer would have been go communication, except that's so vague.
I know.
In the world,
I say communication expert. I'm like, you're not a salesperson, you're a communication expert.
Right.
But I'm trying to humanize it more. Think on that, and we'll reconnect.
Right.
But anyway, dude. All right, you think on that. Whoever's listening to this, you guys think on that too. Let's make our industry glamorous. Let's make it sexy. Let's make it respectable. You know, and help people level up. But man, thank you for your time. I know you got to hit the road. I know you got fast cars. So, John, to get your speeding tickets.
I appreciate you, brother.
Okay, take care.